On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with Bill Petrie from PromoCorner about what he would do differently if he started today. What's up? Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and joining me today is an industry rock star. I think it's his sixth time on the show. He's the president of PromoCorner, and Bill Petrie is joining me today. Thanks, man.
Kirby, it's like I haven't seen you in 48 hours.
I'm not even sure that's true.
I'm not even sure that's true either. No, great to see you. Great to be on the show again. As I always like to joke, I'm now a six-time loser on your show. So always happy to do this. Always happy to talk to you and just kind of chat about whatever you want to chat about.
Cool.
So.
Well, great. I've got 3 questions queued up for you here, so let's dig in, man.
Let's do it.
So you've been in the industry for a while, right? So one of the things that I think it would be an interesting thing to look at is if you could go back in time to when you started in the industry, what would you do differently and why?
That's a pretty deep and interesting question, Kirby. So I started in the year 2000 and at Halo about 9 months before their very public bankruptcy and worked through that. So I've been in the industry a while. I've seen a lot. I've worked at quite a few places. I think the one thing, 2 things come to mind when you ask me that question. Number one, I would try to slow down and listen more. One of the, a lot of things I learned through the bankruptcy at Halo, no question, and it's experience I would never give for anything. It certainly helped shape my career. It's taught me a lot, gave me a lot of mentors and things like that. But because of that experience, and if you've ever been through any sort of prolonged financial crisis, because believe me, there was a crisis leading up to the bankruptcy, and then you file for the bankruptcy, and there's a different kind of crisis or crises after. You're moving at as fast as humanly possible, and sometimes seemingly faster than you could ever move. And so because of that, I don't think I really allowed myself the opportunity to stop and really listen to other people and accept their advice. I was so busy doing, because I had to. I really didn't have much of a choice. I was so busy moving that I didn't stop and really listen to a lot of the advice I got, not because I thought I knew any better, it's just I felt like I didn't have time. And I think the other one would be, and this might just come with age, and we can argue about maturity, but it comes with age, definitely, and experience, is that I wish I had far more of a belief in myself. There were so many times where I doubted what I was doing, and I would put myself into paralysis almost because I was unsure of, is this the right direction I want to move? Am I confident enough to bring this idea or different thought to my boss? Will it be accepted, or will I be laughed at? And so I didn't have that fervent belief in myself. With a sprinkling of, hey, if I get it wrong, that's okay too. Right. So I that's what I would change, I think, probably the most. I think, and I don't think we've talked about it that much, but I have talked about it in different vehicles, is that self-doubt is a very insidious beast, and it's very difficult to get past. I mean, I still have the self-doubt all the time. Don't get me wrong, but now I just kind of say, hey, screw you, we're moving forward. And I'm thankfully I work with a tremendous team here at PromoCorner that allows me to do that, and doesn't give me too hard of a time if we end up falling on our face.
Yeah, no, it's a great piece where you just go, hey, whether you're in sales, you're in business, you're an entrepreneur, we all have that voice. We've talked about that a little bit, and I think that's great advice to try and kind of allow yourself the ability to try things and make a mistake. So that's super good advice. So in our industry, you have a little bit of a unique perspective being a service provider. So get out your crystal ball, man. Let's take a look and see what you think the industry is going to look like in 12 months and what it will take for suppliers and distributors to succeed.
Well, I have better than that. I could get out my Whataburger Magic 8 Ball.
Oh, I love it.
So the Whataburger Magic 8 Ball says spicy ketchup. I don't know how that relates to our industry, but I think it's an important piece of advice. All joking aside. So, yeah, things are moving so quickly. I think what really I see happening, the easy answer is, I see the Amazonification of our industry and things like that. That to me is super obvious. I think we all see that. What I see is a real move that end users, especially, so we'll talk about distributors, we'll talk about suppliers. So on the distributor side, end users want a higher degree of control than they ever have before. They already have it because, look, you can go on any internet search machine and type in promotional products industry codes, and people will know more about our pricing codes than you ever will. So that's already there. People want a high degree of control over their buying experience now, and they feel like they deserve it. Now that's certainly kind of part of the Amazonification of our industry, but it's not the 2-day shipping, it's not the frictionless transaction. I think people really crave that control. How is my stuff being shipped? It's the whole Domino's pizza tracker thing. People want to know where things are. I don't think distributors look hard enough at their own process and realize that what they experience on the supplier side, they send in a PO and it could go into a black hole. Maybe there's no one telling them what's going on. A lot of times end users experience that too. So I think distributors really need to work very hard at looking at their own sales process and their buying experience from the perspective of their end buyers to give as much control to that group as possible, whether it's choosing the logo or choosing the product, it's finding the right vehicle, but with guidance. So I think that's what I really see happening, and that's going to be a challenge as a lot of distributors are consultative salespeople. So it's hard to give up that control, but there are aspects of that sale you can give control over to the end user, and actually really form a partnership that way.
Yeah.
The supplier side, selling to distributors. To me, it's all about transparency. The more transparent suppliers can be, the happier distributors are. We are in most suppliers are me too. Hey, we sell that too. We sell a 30-ounce vacuum sealed double wall tumbler, right? And there's how many of those are out there? Or we sell golf balls too, or we sell hats too. You have to give a high degree of transparency to that distributor, because just like I don't think distributors understand really how difficult it is for suppliers to produce product on a consistent basis at a very high level in terms of quality, I don't think suppliers understand that distributors, even the most consultative ones, are at the core middlemen. And they've got someone on this end asking for information and their end users. When am I getting this? What does it look like? Blah, blah, blah. And you've got the supplier over here on this end telling, we need more artwork. We need, we need this information. We need that. And so they're trying to orchestrate this chess match. And so the more transparency a supplier can give, and we already see it right now, the ones that are winning right now are the ones that are the most transparent.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really, really good insight into the industry. So, and I love that you kind of come at it from a little bit more of an objective standpoint, just being on sort of the service provider side. So, final question for you.
So you have distributors are like fire, suppliers are like ice. That makes me kind of lukewarm water, Kirby.
Yes, I've always said that about you. So, final question for you, buddy. So you and I talk about content quite a bit. You've been very vocal about the importance of content marketing as a overall part of the marketing mix. So since you or we've been started putting out content, the sheer amount of industry content has really taken off. So So what advice do you give? How do you ensure that your voice continues to be heard with so much competition out there?
Wow, it's difficult. Yeah. It is. When you and I, 3.5, 4 years ago, I don't want to overstate this, but I think you and I were pretty much at the forefront of being consistent in putting out content, whether it was blogs or this vehicle right here in Delivering Marketing Joy. I think we were one of the first people to really, two of the first people to really do that. Since then, there has been an explosion. It's skyrocketed. You've got all sorts of people putting out content, which I love. I think you do too. I love the fact that people are finally in our industry really embracing the fact that, to use one of your phrases, we're in a give first economy, and there's no easier way to both give and establish your expertise than to create meaningful content that helps others. So on that level, I love it. But it's hard now to get your voice heard. It's very hard to rise above the din of all the content out there, because let's be honest, there's some really good content out there and there's some really horrible content out there. I've seen both, and there's everything in between. Yeah. And so what happens, and I think you and I get concerned about this from time to time, is that it just all becomes noise. Mm-hmm. How do I consume it? You're one of my closest friends, inside or outside the industry. I can't keep up with the amount of content you generate. It bothers me. We've talked about it. But there are days it's just I don't have time.
Sure.
I don't have time. So that I'm really appealing right to your question. So how do I make sure my voice gets heard? It always goes back to consistency. Because a lot of people are putting out content, but still there is a distinct lack of consistency as a group among them. Yeah. And so I can't guarantee my voice is heard. Mm-hmm. So I just keep putting things out there. I keep to my schedule, whether it's the Unscripted podcast that you and I do that drops every Friday, whether it's my blog that goes out every Monday. It's consistent. The one thing I don't do, though, that I think a lot of people really make a mistake in doing is they chase likes. It's a very easy thing to do, right? Because that's all social media does is appeal to our narcissism. That's it. And so you post something on there, you spend an hour or 2 hours writing it, and you perfect it, or you get as close to perfection as possible, since perfection doesn't exist. You get it to a point where you're very comfortable finally sharing it, and you think this is going to blow everybody's socks off. And then it's met with a collective yawn. And so you keep going back to Facebook. You wonder, does anybody like this? Will anybody comment? And sometimes they won't. It's kind of like you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. You don't know what they're going through in their businesses and their personal lives. And it's pretty shitty to think, well, they should stop and read that blog I just wrote about my car buying experience. And how could they not do that? This is going to just knock everybody's socks off. So I think I don't worry about it anymore. There are days that I do, but for the most part, I put it out there. The cream rises to the top. The audience will tell me what matters and what doesn't. Right. And I just don't give up. I just keep putting it out there. And I think that's the most important thing, is to remain consistent and put things out there. Because the ones who are chasing likes, they're the ones who are going to give up. Yeah. So don't worry about it.
Great stuff, man. Well, you have answered my 3 questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me, bud?
I do. So I know that shocks you. So this is episode number 200-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know what number.
Yep.
Of Delivering Marketing Joy.
Yep.
So that means roughly you are 4 years into this vehicle. It has changed slightly.
Right.
Not much. I mean, the concept initially was 3 questions to my guest, 1 question to me. How do you keep it fresh over the next, let's say, 12 months? Do you see it evolving, or are you happy with the format the way it is? So I guess I'm asking you to get your crystal ball out. And if you want the Whataburger Magic 8-Ball, I'm happy to use it to help you answer your question. Trust me, I am.
Yeah.
How do you see it evolving so it not only stays fresh for the audience, but stays fresh for you?
Yeah, no, that's fair. So I think spicy ketchup is really going to help.
Absolutely. Oh, if you haven't had Whataburger spicy ketchup, man, you are missing out.
Yeah. So, I think it is an interesting thing. I think one of the things to evolve this is, we have done this over Skype. I've done it like this on purpose so that it can be recreated on a regular basis. Constantly looking for better, more efficient ways to record the video, whether it be higher quality, whether it be just ease of use. And that's something I'm looking for. But for the most part, what I've found is the engagement of the guest, the promotion from the guest. The guest has a lot of control over what happens on this, and so I think that as I continue to do this, what I've found is and you kind of alluded to it here, is that, the one where I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to go crazy over this one. Sometimes that's not the case. And then so that's why I'm like, well, I continue to look to refine it, but every time I think it's fallen off, then it seems to build back up. And I think it goes back to your consistency message. So I'm going to continue to look to refine it, but I don't have any specific plans to do it at this point, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. I think you do a great job with it. I mean, it's one of the, I think it's one of the preeminent consistent pieces of content in our industry. So, I mean, I just, I know, we talked about this. How do you keep content fresh?
Yeah.
And how do you, change it up? And, we talked a little bit about, how I do the adult beverage of the week.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for almost 4 years now as well. And for the most part, it's always been a picture and a little description. And I told you, I'm getting bored with that.
Yeah.
And so now we're moving to video. We'll still do the pictures and things like that, but I think for the most part, we're going to move more to a video-driven piece of content where I'm able to inject a little bit more of my personality. That's one of the feedback I've gotten is, hey, we need more of your goofball personality in that vehicle. And hey, look, I'm not afraid to be anybody's yuck monkey. I don't care.
I love it. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you taking the time. And as always, we'll have to do it again sometimes, okay?
I look forward to it. Thanks, Kirby.
All right, bud. That's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.